With all of this presentation with the chakras and journeying from the third dimension to the fifth dimension, which we should by now understand as a very subjective existence. Each of us, subjective meaning that each of us have our own unique set of experiences, modalities of thought, perception, perceiving, learning. All of this makes us very unique. And what is true for one person perhaps may not be true for another. But really, to strip away a lot of this talk of chakras and triads and some of the more esoteric stuff and kind of just fall back on good old-fashioned psychology, if you will. But to put all this in another frame of, or modality of expression or paradigm of thought, thinking, we can understand all of this releasing from the duality of the third dimension, which we understand as a dimension of absolutes, of good, evil, right, wrong. It's a dimension of drama, of a lot of angst and just furor and struggle and conflict. That is what the third dimension is, because it is simply limited in its options. Everything is black or white, good or evil, Republican or Democrat, conservative, liberal, etc., etc. It is set up to fail. Fundamentally, the third dimension is a fundamental flaw, and it's by design, to be experienced that way. And when you've had enough of it, you will release your traumatic memories of it that trap you in that dimension. And you will, through reframing your traumatic memories of that time, through letting them go, through learning higher dimensional vibrations and thought processes that lead you to the golden door of the New Earth Golden Age timeline, that is how you release and you master the third dimension. To put it another more assertive, proactive way, but mastering the third dimension is essentially reframing your traumatic memories of that experience. And we all experience trauma. We all experience it to one degree or another. Even the most battle-hardened warrior, Navy SEAL, everybody experiences it, no matter how they reframe it. But granted, those types, that first tier, tier one, tip of the spear type of warriors, they go into battle not with the average training. They have very higher, understandings of trauma and dealing with battlefield stress. And a lot of times these guys are using very advanced mental, spiritual techniques of going into battle. And that is essentially, I want you to understand, we are in a battle. There's no two ways about it. This is a warfare for your consciousness. There is a war for your soul. Trust me, your soul exists, and it is a prize. It is a prize. There are demonic forces that are at work in this third dimension world, seeking to keep divine humans trapped there and taking them further down, below, way below, destroying your consciousness, destroying what makes you divine, and taking you to their pit. And it does exist. I'm here to tell you it exists. But every time you retrieve a memory, you change the memory. The more times you retrieve a memory, the more it will change. Memory is like the telephone game. The more times you tell or imagine the story, the more that story will change. There's a neuroscientist, Donna Bridge, who has said a memory is not simply an image produced by time traveling back to the original event. It can be an image that is somewhat distorted because of the prior times you remembered it. Your memory of an event can grow less precise, even to the point of being totally false with each retrieval. Now, I think it's interesting that Donna Bridge, this neuroscientist, used the phrase time travel, because it can be understood in that sense that you're time traveling. And when we understand the power of the mind, the power of consciousness, and the way that quantum mechanics works, quantum physics, how it operates, the mere observation of a material event can cause distortions in it, can cause it to change from time to time. So part of this releasing from trauma mental time travel and post-traumatic stress disorder, going back to the event, this traumatic event that occurred, or whatever it is, your memories that are keeping you in this state of conflict, you can understand it as time travel. And you can go back in time to a traumatic event and you can reshape it. You can recast it. Let's say that I had something that took place that I don't have good memories of, and when that memory's either I'm reminded of it or somehow it resurrects and I relive it, I time travel back to that event. Well, I can stop it with the power of my consciousness, and I can reframe it. I can change the event. I don't have to relive that event. I don't have to be reminded. Of course, it's great to be reminded to learn the lessons, but once you learn your lesson and understand, release it. And you can release it by time traveling and with quantum consciousness and reframing that event. You can recast it. You can say, well, I don't like that part. I'm going to put this emotion over that action. And you gradually let that energy go, because all is energy. Our thoughts are energy. And as you begin to, and you can work with this in many different ways. Yes, the chakras are great models. But once you establish stability that opens access to the unified field, your connection to source, all it is, at the same time that you connect more with source every day, I'm telling you, it is, I do it every day. It's gratitude. You wake up in the morning with gratitude. You frame, I have my little routines and rituals that I do. I follow what the Essenes did, the original teachings that Jesus came from. The Essenes had ritual bathing. I use cold water therapy, immersion therapy. I get up ice cold water. But, and I have every day I do this. I wake with gratitude in my heart. I establish connection. I feed these stray cats. I build love. I activate the quantum field of love. So there's things that you do each day that connect you to source. And once you become in the habit of this, and the only times that I get out of that connection, out of that fifth dimension, is, if any number of third dimensional antics that take place where I live, be they gunshots out in the woods or some other kind of aggressive behavior that I deal with up here in North Austin where I live. But I have to experience that. And my journey has been to experience the chaos around me with a higher dimensional stability connection to source. That is why martial arts and why you hear about these Shaolin monks. They never lose the Buddha mind while in the stress and the conflict of the moment. They will dispatch their opponent with just enough effort, just enough force to mitigate that threat and move on with a smile and still love in their heart. And that is what we must learn to do to this third dimensional mind as we begin to incorporate and invoke these higher dimensional thought processes. The third dimensional mind will start to operate less intensely, less argumentatively, and our higher minds will blend much more fully into our third dimensional awareness. And so to understand all this talk of dimensions and all this, it gets a little far out. There's a little bit of predatory actions in this community of, where people are, they're kind of keeping others, they're kind of feeding them along with a little bit of information, but there's a lot of abstract and just fanciful thinking applied to all this. There's no, well, I won't get off on that tangent, but and this is how I understand it. Of course, there very well may be that reality, that modality of understanding dimensions very well may be working for other people, but I'm 53 years of age. I have certain kinds of ways that my rational brain still works. I'm not the most rational person, but there is a balance between left and right hemispheres of your artistic side with your logical side, and the left side of the brain tends to be the ego side. But anyway, there is a way to connect to the unified field, to source, to the all that is, to the infinite prime creator, to the divine grid programmer. And one of them is learning how to stay out of debating and argumentative actions, getting in arguments with people. Everything is by resonance, by frequency. If you resonate with somebody, and it doesn't come from words. Words can be the doorway, but a lot of it's through their energies, their heart energies. But at the same time, we have to learn that our third dimensional mind, once we connect to source, our third dimensional mind, this is how we know, will start to operate less intensely and less argumentatively, and your higher mind will blend much more fully into that dimension. And you will transform the third dimension. You will transform the third dimension by hitting that subscribe button, leaving this video a thumbs up, and staying tuned for further video offerings and information disseminations from the Umbanda New Earth Ashram for compassion, strength, and higher dimensional living in a practical, pragmatic understanding thereof. But you you open the golden door to the New Earth Golden Age timeline by hitting that subscribe button and staying tuned.
Namaste. Namaskaram.